Good evening. Call the meeting to order. This is the September 11th, 2013 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. A couple of items for procedural purposes. One, if you have a phone or electronic device or something that makes a sound, kindly turn it off or to silent. If it goes off during the meeting, I'll ask you to leave. Second, we received a nice thank you note from Barbara McQuaid regarding the Conservation Commission's concerns regarding the Bigelow and Swan Street project, and I just want to extend a thanks to Mrs. McQuaid. This is much appreciated. And we can put this in the file, Swati. Okay, and just a brief moment of silence for remembrance of family, loved ones who lost their lives on 9/11/2001. All right, calling the first item on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability. It has been opened but continued. Mass DOT. Project location is Princeton Boulevard. It's sidewalk repair, including wheelchair, ramp installation, tree removal, stump grinding, repaving, and curb resetting at 3 locations along Princeton Boulevard between Whiteman Street and Windsor Street across Black Brook, within the 100-year floodplain and a wetland buffer bank bordering vegetative wetland, bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area. If you could kindly identify yourself for the record.
And I represent Mass DOT. This is a maintenance contract. This is considered a routine district-wide maintenance contract, the sidewalk contract. Initially, the stump grinding was included in this, but that was done under a previous contract. So the stump grinding is actually done. It is my understanding that this work was requested because a number of people that live along that road contacted a representative from the city of Lowell, and there was a site meeting with 2 different people from maintenance as well as the representative, and they went over the proposed project. There are 3 locations for the sidewalks to be replaced along this section of road: Reitman Street to Dingwall Street, Tamarack Street to Pratt Ave, Forest Street to Livingston Ave. They're all on the northbound side of the roadway. During the conversation that the folks had, it also got brought up about the trees. Under the city of Lowell, they're going to try to get some of the trees replaced. That's my understanding, that they were looking into replacing it by the city of Lowell, and they seemed in agreement. They were searching that out. I do know that there is a concern about the trees down by Pratt Ave because it is in floodplain, and I did look into could they be saved, and they cannot be saved. And it's strictly because of ADA compliance and the fact that the electric lines and the telephone lines are right going through the tree. In addition to redoing the sidewalks in those areas, they're going to also put in wheelchair ramps. There will be 6 wheelchair ramps in the intersections of Dingwall Street, Corey Street, and Reitman Street. And then down at Foster Street, they will put in 4 additional wheelchair ramps. There was also an email or a phone call from the town engineer in terms of the type of rumble strip at the wheelchair ramps. He either wanted them black or red, and I did go to the maintenance people, and they were going to be in contact with him, and they were going to try to accommodate whatever color he wanted. And that's about it. They're just going to replace the deteriorated parts of the sidewalk that are kind of dangerous because of the tree roots, and they're going to put in new sidewalk.
Now, this work is partly being done in accordance or to bring it into compliance with the ADA, and partly because it's just maintenance that needs to be done.
Right.
And I know we had a brief discussion a couple of weeks ago regarding the trees and
Yep.
and I understand fully that, you know, they need to go, because there's no way that, you know, that a mobility chair or wheelchair can utilize the sidewalk with those there. But since I've had that conversation, and, you know, shame on me, since I've had that conversation, I've tried to be more vigilant. And just as, and I know this is not your issue, and it's probably not so much the trees, but the utility poles. And is there going to be any coordination with National Grid or whoever is responsible for the utility poles to get them off the sidewalks? You know, I was throughout the city, there are, and again, it's not
Right.
necessarily your issue, and it's partly the city, it's partly development, it's, I'm astounded. They have the wheelchair access ramps, you know, to get from, you know, over the curbs, but the sidewalks are essentially unpassable because of the utility poles right in the middle of the sidewalks.
This is strictly a sidewalk district-wide contract. I know there is no clause or funding for the utility poles. I know the issue of utility poles when there's an actual construction contract, like the bridges they're replacing, a contract specifically for construction. That's typically when they take care of the telephone poles.
And I mean, again, this is not our issue, but I'm just being an observer of, you know, we're cutting down trees, but we should be cutting down the utility poles. I mean, because there's one every 50 feet, and there's no way some of these, I mean, heck, it's almost impossible to walk on the sidewalks, let alone being in a wheelchair.
I can bring this concern to Mass DOT, but I know in regular construction contracts, we have a whole section that is specific to utilities. It's the deuce section. I know there's a lot of different people that have lines on the telephone poles, so it's a matter of coordination.
No, I under cable
And I know that Mass DOT, I don't believe we own the telephone poles, or in most of the cases we don't. So it's really quite a coordination effort.
How can you say it's ADA or handicap certified sidewalk if a wheelchair can't be allowed? If there's no, you know what I mean, the whole point is to say that there's a handicap approved sidewalk for wheelchairs.
Well, they're putting the wheelchair ramps at the intersections. And the sidewalks now have gotten narrower with time, so they're gonna put it the way the sidewalks were in terms of width. I think they're typically 4 or 5 feet wide, a sidewalk. I know there is absolutely no funding under this contract to move utility poles. I know that. Right now, it's dangerous because of the tree roots. The sidewalk has deteriorated, it's cracked, there's depressions, you can trip, you can fall, and they are trying to clean up those sections of the sidewalk.
All right, any other questions, Commissioner Varnum? Commissioner Gordon? Commissioner Lynch?
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Beardron?
No, I got it. You know what I mean? If you're trying to get, you know, DOT usually likes to say this is certified, DOT approved sidewalk. We have poles where wheelchairs can't get around. It just doesn't.
I know that the utility poles are handled under construction contracts.
Yeah, no, I understand where
They're never handled under maintenance, and this contract is only for repairing the sidewalk. It's not for repaving the road or setting granite edging or, you know, this is the fix. You know, it's like, if my mailbox fell off the house, I would take it, from where it fell, threw it in the trash, and I would screw on another mailbox.
Yeah, but
I
this
wouldn't
is
go-
like screwing on a new mailbox and welding the door on it shut. 'Cause-
Right, this isn't like redoing the whole side of my house. This is strictly maintenance. It would have to be a construction contract.
Are you widening the sidewalks?
We are reestablishing what the sidewalks were initially. The sidewalks haven't been done for, I have no idea how long. The best that I can do is, and I will CC Swarthy, I can write a letter, an email, send it to maintenance, bring up the issue of the telephone poles.
It just seems like a wheelchair should be able to go by it, so maybe in those locations it has to be widened.
I can put that down in the email, that this is a concern that you guys have.
You're spending all this money making wheelchair ramps, and the wheelchair can use it, and
Right.
All right, any further questions? All right, and again, this is just in-place work. Do you have a estimated start once it goes out
This
to
is an
contract?
ongoing contract right now,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a contractor on board. What would happen is, we would have to wait for the permit to come in-house, and then they would have to schedule a time for them to go out. I
Would,
don't have a specific time. I would think, where it's an ongoing contract, it wouldn't be dragged out.
what do you feel start to finish?
I don't think this is a long process. I would think they would certainly be done in a week or less.
All right, do I have a motion on this? By Commissioner Gander.
Second.
Thank you, you guys. My name is Andrea Norton, and I represent Mass DOT. This will be a construction project, a construction contract, and it will be done through construction. But it's still considered routine roadway maintenance because we're basically restoring it. It's deteriorated. This is an interstate maintenance roadway resurfacing project that begins in Chelmsford and goes just past the town line in Andover. What they're doing here is they will go out and mill and plane the main line through Lowell and the bridges. They will then repave it. Any structures, drainage structures in the roadway that need to be adjusted or repaired will be adjusted and repaired. A lot of times when they do work around town, they'll spray it orange, and then they'll make the pavement to the correct height after they adjusted those. That's what they're gonna do. And then they will put new frames and grates on the drainage structures, the catch basins. The median Jersey barrier is quite deteriorated, so that will be replaced. They will upgrade and replace the existing guardrail. They will put pavement milling mulch on the shoulders, which is typically just under the guardrail to stabilize the shoulder area. There will be selective clearing and thinning of trees and vegetation just along the edge of the road. This is to restore sight distance, so when you're driving and there's a corner, you can see up ahead, so for braking and stuff like that. Also, so you can see the signs. They will also put the rumble strips on the breakdown line side, so when you're traveling along and kind of getting ready to doze off, you hit that and it wakes you right up. The gores, which is where ramps merge, they will replace what's out there, which is a concrete slotted rumble strip, and they will put it so it's similar to what's on the edge of the road. And then there will be new pavement markings. And that's it. It's like the it's my understanding it's ground up pavement that's got weight to it. If you go up and down Route 3, you'll see it under the guardrail. It's like ground up black pavement, the HMA hot asphalt. No, it's got weight to it, so it doesn't migrate. Not as big as a riprap. Yeah. It's something that they're doing more and more when they do the interstate maintenance resurfacing projects. I don't know if the FHA is now specifying that that's what they want. Does it leach out any? No. No. It's pavement milling, which is the ground, my understanding it's ground up pavement, but it's a heavier density, but it's nowhere near the size of riprap. It's not leaching out? No. 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 No.
Are you gonna do, any catch basin cleaning?
Yes.
Okay, so cleaning will be included?
Yep.
Framing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I believe that's a requirement. Anytime they pave, they have to go back afterwards and make sure they clean out the catch basins, just in case anything goes in it.
Yeah. Okay, no questions.
Any further questions or motion?
I'll make a motion to issue a -3 determination.
Motion by Commissioner Reed, second by Commissioner Gordon. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's aye.
Thank you. I will send a letter, an email down.
And I know it's not you, but it seems like it's silly to cut down, majestic maple trees and oaks and get utility poles every 50 feet. That is just, it's not just here, it's everywhere, right? I mean, there's a stretch of Middlesex Street that was just redone. The other day I saw a guy in a woolly chair out in the middle of the street, and I'm like, because the sidewalk is completely unpassable. And the utility,
Some,
wheelchair access ramps on every single curb, I don't know what expense, and there's a telephone pole every,
I know that the telephone poles, because it's such a coordination issue, that sometimes they come back and they move the telephone poles later. I live down in Wakefield, and they just did a whole section of Salem Street where they widen it and they put in sidewalks and granite curbing and all of that, which wasn't there before. And you'll see the poles there. And once the coordination goes into effect, they're going to move the poles behind the sidewalk. I do know that the telephone poles are kind of complicated affairs because there's so many people on the poles. I'll send, I'm sorry. Swapping.
moving on to the next item on the agenda, request for determination of applicability, Princeton Plaza Court, property location, River Place, and paving of numerous parking lots at River Place Towers, including stormwater management upgrades along the Merrimack River within the 100-year floodplain and the western buffer, land bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront. And Mr. Pesnola, if you could identify yourself for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. For the record, Joe Pesnola from Hancock Associates, representing Princeton Plaza Corp. Their Princeton properties is, this is one of Princeton's properties, River Place Towers. It's on River Place, up next to the Songus Arena. The property was developed back in the 70s. It's apartment units in 2 buildings. They're desirous of resurfacing the existing parking lots. Under the city's stormwater ordinance, we need to effect some upgrades, some improvements to the drainage, the stormwater out there. So we're implementing several measures, and we've been working with Ms. DeMeo over the past month or so in ironing out exactly what would be acceptable or maximum extent practicable given the site constraints. Four main parking lots. We've labeled them 1 through 4. The first is a small parking lot here that has 16 spaces in it, and that's, or just to orient the commission, River Place used to be called Post Office Square is here, Songus Arena is over here, the municipal parking garage down here, Merrimack River is here. The River Walk is down along the river, considerably at a lower grade than our site. But we do have a buffer zone, and we do have bordering land subject to flooding or floodplain that's delineated here and here. So those are the resource areas that are involved. So the first parking lot here is a small parking lot that just happens to be pitched towards the river. It's got no formal drainage with it. Drainage sheet flows off the corner here and down a steep embankment to the river walk. There's some erosion problems in this corner where it washes some sand and dirt onto the river walk itself. What our proposal there would be is to dig a small shallow swale detention area just to capture the water, slow it down, get some recharge, and then riprap the slope so that that's armored against any erosion. Hopefully this will pick up if I leave it down there. The second parking lot, parking area 2, does have a formal drainage system, collection system if you will. There's a series of catch basins down along this side. Everything's pitched towards them, and that goes through a 12-inch pipe and directly discharges through the side wall of the river walk, which is also the sewer trunk line encasement. So it comes through there and out into the river. There's no formal treatment at all. What we propose to do is intercept that line and install a Vort Sentry treatment unit, which is a hydrodynamic treatment device. It's got a step rating of 3 by Mass DEP. Essentially spins the water clean. Sediments go down, floatables and oils go up, and the clean water goes out. The third parking lot is this. This is a Vort Sentry model 48, HS 48, and that's based on the contributing area to it. The second area is parking area 3, and that similarly has a collection system of catch basins with a pipe that discharges similarly through the wall and out to the river. Same thing here, we would intercept it and install a Vort Sentry, in this case an HS 60, because it's a larger area. The last area is outside of your jurisdiction, but just a complete picture. Parking area 4 is a elevated parking lot down adjacent to the municipal garage. Everything sheet flows to the access drive and then out into the longitudinal access drive that's shared with several commercial properties and out into River Place and the municipal drainage system. And we would proposing to install a trench drain and some infiltrators there just to get some additional recharge. In addition, the repaving operation will include some milling or coal planing in the floodplain areas so that we drop it 1.5 inches before we pick it up 1.5 inches so we don't lose any flood storage capacity. The remainder of the parking lot will be selectively milled in areas that warrant it for repair, but there's not a reason to mill the main parking lot or the parking lot that's outside of the floodplain. So that's the project. We're working within existing paved surfaces entirely. There's no expansion of paved surfaces. Even in the milling operation, there's very little sediment that can be entrained or washed. We would, in those areas though, we would protect the catch basins with silt sacks during that milling operation. But after that, it should be a fairly clean operation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm going to start, Joe, a little bit backwards, and I know parking lot 4 is out of our jurisdiction, but there's a very mature white pine right where that, I guess, the southeastern tip of that infiltrator is, where that island is that extends into the parking area. Could that be slid a little bit to the northwest? There's another white pine midway down, and it seems to me that infiltrator would fit nicely between the two trees, and you probably, I don't know if the excavator can get in there without taking that tree out, but it seemed to be awfully tight.
We could certainly take a look at that. I would think we could split the chambers and connect them.
Well, it looks like it could actually go a little bit, to the left, looking at the plan. So,
certainly
again, it's not our jurisdiction, but it's
no,
a very mature tree. It'd be nice to keep it. It's a nice buffer from the parking garage. So, I know that can get a little noisy after a hockey game or a concert. So, I'm sure the residents would appreciate that. All right. Let me go over to parking area 1, and that's the small one to the north. The erosion that I saw was like in the middle. I didn't see any in the far, the upper right-hand corner. It was sort of in the middle and to the left. There was a lot of sand clogging the chain link fence towards the middle and over to the left, and there was a little bit of an erosion channel right in the middle. And explain to me either why or would this just add too much to the cost instead of putting a trench there to put a catch basin and connect it back up to the line that runs between 1 and 2? There's a catch basin over to the left there, just at that first island on parking lot number 2. I mean, I know that's extended cost, running a whole nother line and digging a trench for it and stuff like that, but at least it would be treated now, too.
The grade drops off there, from this area. Grade drops off from this area down to the corner of the parking lot, so we would have to look at the grades to see if, and the depth of the structures there to see if that would be, possible.
Okay.
But we could certainly look at that.
All right. Now, the separator, the Vortex system that you're using, you have that in a grassy area by, before the children's play area. Is there, and it's kind of separate, it's really not all that accessible. I'm assuming that's going to have a manhole cover for clean out and inspections and whatnot. Is there a reason why it was placed there as opposed to being put, because, I mean, kids are going to be playing in that area, and I hate to see one of them fall and hit their head on a metal plate. Is there any reason why they can't be put where the access to the dumpsters are there in the service area? There's a catch basin right there at that corner. Yeah, is there any reason why it can't just be put in that locale? It seemed to me it would be much more accessible to heavy equipment there, and without going through a fence and.
Right. No, I don't think there is. We were just trying to minimize the costs and disruption to the existing pad for the dumpster.
Okay, yeah, I know, because that's different, it's a concrete pad over there, you're right, so
Well,
it's,
maybe we can find room in between the drive and the concrete walk so that we don't disturb the walk, but we get it, get it in there. We can look at both options.
because it seems to be, the kids seem to run it, while I was there, the kids were running up and down in that area, and it's just putting a hard target in a soft area, so.
Understood.
But other than that, there wasn't too much there. And the last one in the big lot, fine, you've got the separator, again, it's right next to that last catch basin that runs into the river. But if you look over to the east, there's another catch basin that's about probably a quarter of the lot that runs into a 24-inch line. Why are we not treating that line too?
Just the complexities of the situation there. We don't exactly know what's going on with why that was built the way it was built, but the 24-inch line is some 20 feet down. And the line, where these lines probably have considerable slope to them, this is a very flat pipe, runs underneath the sewer outfall and comes out in the head wall or in the wall system that makes up the pedestrian bridge over the Riverwalk.
Okay.
So in talking to Mr. Mayo, we just couldn't come up with a practical way to get treatment to that line.
All right. To be fair, I don't think that area of the parking lot is used all that much either.
No.
But it still is a very considerable chunk. That single catch basin is probably a quarter of that entire parking lot.
Yes, it is.
So, all right. I don't have any questions other than those. So, Commissioner Gordon? Commissioner Varnum?
No questions.
Commissioner Lynch? Commissioner Biedron? All right. All right, do I have a motion on this? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
And lastly, but certainly not least, a request for determination of applicability, Atlantic Restoration Corp. Project location is 200 Market Street, and it's building number 2, entrance area repairs and improvements, including repaving, landscape improvements, and new roofing system along the lower Pawtucket Canal within the wetland buffer bank and bordering vegetated wetland. Yes, sir, if you could identify yourself for the record.
My name is Simon Hung. I am from Hung Associates. I'm the designer of this project. The scope of this project is to renovate the tunnel cover. Right now, the existing tunnel cover consists of asphalt paving, a concrete deck below it, and supported by structural beam and wood beams. Over the years, water seep in there and deteriorate the substructure. Right now, the steel beams and wood beams are in serious deterioration. So the scope of this project is to remove the asphalt paving and build a lightweight roof over it such that there will not be any cars parked on it. We'll put bollards in front of it to make sure there will not be any cars parked on it, and there will be some sort of pavers on the top so people can walk on it and sit on it. There is no change in the impervious area, 0%. This is basically a structural repair project.
All right, I was out there today. I have to admit, I work downtown. I've forever, and I've never been back there. It actually took me a few minutes to find it, believe it, because that whole complex, it's huge. but I had never been back there. What the heck is that tunnel? I mean, it's obviously not used, but it
Oh,
doesn't
right.
go anywhere either. Where does it go?
Well, I don't know exactly where it goes, but the tunnel, part of it is blocked off. The tunnel, there's a main tunnel right next to the building, in front of the building, and then a perpendicular tunnel goes to, I don't know where, but it's blocked off about 100 feet away. Right now, they have some sewer equipment downstairs and some trash dumpsters, that's it.
Did that perhaps extend like through where the parking garage is now, where the Market Street parking garage?
No, it doesn't go underneath it.
No, I know it doesn't now,
Right.
but, I mean, at one time, perhaps it did?
No.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of excavation, all the pavement's ripped up there now and whatnot. It looked actually kind of unstable, but that's not going to be a traffic circle or a turnaround circle anymore?
Well, it still will be. We are reducing the size of that circle in front of it, the little island.
Yeah, I saw you're going to
Right,
cut back the
so
island,
that the
yeah.
car can pass through, so it can still be a turnaround circle.
Okay, so, but you're going to put like a little roof way over the entranceway there?
No, there will not be any roof over it.
Okay.
It will be exactly what it's looked like right now, it's just exposed.
Oh, all right. Okay, maybe I misunderstood. Is that going to be, to me, it seemed like, and I know you didn't design it, but,
Actually, I did.
huh?
Actually, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yep. The only reason that we used the light gauge to do the tunnel cover is lightweight, because we're not doing that much to improve the support downstairs. The support downstairs has deteriorated, cannot support the additional load above. If there is, this cover is to protect the snow load and people load from getting onto the tunnel surface.
Okay. Even though
Just a protection.
it's not being used down there anyway, but,
Well, they still use it a little bit.
okay. All right, yeah, I mean, I know it's within within the limits of the floodway and everything like that, but you're not changing any elevations
No.
here,
no,
okay?
the
I mean,
pitch- Yeah,
y-
the pitch remained the same, the
Yeah, I
direction
mean-
the same.
okay, I mean, this area is completely isolated from the resource. It's surrounded by buildings and hardened areas. It's it's just a hardened paved area. Are you going to have to compensate at all for the loss of the green space from taking away the part of the
There's
island?
no trees there right now at all.
Well, there's some shrubbery and whatnot there, but,
No, the whole thing is paved right now.
well, no,
The area.
the circle.
Oh, the circle, yeah, we will be, but the plants there are really not really living.
Well, I mean, there's some rhododendron in there that
Yeah,
is.
we are
and-
reducing a little bit of it, but we don't have any way to duplicate it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, to me, it seemed like it was there's not a lot of space between the edge of that circle and the entranceway into the building. It seemed
Right,
like a
we-
little bit of a, you step out of the building and someone hits you coming by.
Yeah, we cut as minimum as we can.
Yeah, all right. I don't have any questions, it's just, I mean, the only reason you're here is because of the, a building separates you and puts you in the buffer. I mean, other than that, there's really not a huge resource to be concerned with here. Commissioner Gordon? Commissioner Barnum? Commissioner Lynch? Commissioner Badrin? All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to issue a -3.
Do I have a second? By
Second.
Commissioner Badrin, seconded by? Commissioner Gordon. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
No minutes, no other business? I have a motion to adjourn,
I'll motion to adjourn.
seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Gordon, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it.
Aye.
Good night.